In this part, we're talking about the finance. When you want to buy something but you do not have enough money, what should you do? You may borrow some money from a bank, and when you borrow money from a bank, the bank will charge you as the interest. Interest is ดอกเบี้ย in Thai, and interest is mean the money paid for the use of money. We receive the interest when we let someone use our money, just like when you deposit the money in a saving account and the bank will pay you the interest. And the interest can be classified into two types. The first type is called the simple interest. And the simple interest can be calculated from the present value. The present value is the value of the money in the present time หรือภาษาไทยเรียกว่ามูลค่าปัจจุบัน This one or we call principal. The present value times the rate of the interest. This is the interest rate. Interest rate per year. And normally the interest rate will used in the decimal form, such as you have to pay 7% of the interest rate. When you make it, you change the percentage here to be a decimal form, you get 0.07. And this amount of money is depend on the time. You have to multiply with the time in year. So you can shorten or form the formula for simple interest as I. I represent the interest. P is the principal. R is the interest rate. And T is the time in year. Let's see the example to find the interest. Suppose that you decide to save the money 20 baht per day for a year. At the end of a year, you have saved 7,300 baht. If you then put your money into a saving account, which paying you 0.5% interest, how much interest will the bank pay you after 1 year? Okay, if this is a simple interest, you can see that the simple interest is principal times interest rate times year. So what is the principal? This one. This amount of money that you save in the bank, this is the principal. How about R? 0.5%. This is the rate, interest rate. And you have to change 0.5% to be a decimal form. So you get 0.005. And how long that the bank will pay you back? In 1 year, right? This is T. Then you replace it back in the formula. You get P P is 7,300 baht. And the rate is 0.005 for 1 year. So how much money will you get after 1 year? 36.5 baht. This is the interest that you will get. The bank will pay you this amount of money. And you can predict the value of your money in the future as well. We call it future value หรือมูลค่าอนาคตในภาษาไทย The future amount is the amount that you will have after the interest is added to your principal. And normally we let the letter A for the future value. So you can find the future value from the present value plus the interest. And present value, we use the letter P. And interest, we use the letter I. And as we know that I is equal to PRT. So you replace I by PRT. Then you have the same P, right? You bring the P outside. You left P times 1 is P. So you left P outside, you get 1 plus RT inside parentheses. So you can say that the future value can be found from this formula. Okay, let's exercise. If your business borrows the money and you have to repay in 3 years, what is the simple interest rate? Borrow the money. That means the present value, right? This is the present value. This is the P. And repay. It means the future value. You have to repay it back. So this one is the future value. How long? For 3 years. This is the time. What the question asks the simple interest rate. It means they asked you the rate of the interest. From this information, and as you know, the future value is equal to the principal times 1 plus the rate and time. Your future value is 261,000, and the principal is 180,000 times 1 plus R. R is the thing that we want to know, right? T is 3 years. And this is the simple equation. You can solve for R. So when you solve for R, you divide this amount of money and you get 1 plus 3R. You can cancel this one. You get 261 over 180 minus 1 is 3R. Okay, 261 minus 180 divided by 180 is 3R. Then what is R? Divide by 31 times, okay, R is 0.15. Or you change this to percentage, you get R is 15%. Okay, let's try another exercise. Suppose you have decided to purchase a car and want to determine the monthly payment if you pay for the car in, and the price of the car as shown in the box, in the yellow box, 2 million, around 2 million.45 baht, and the tax for 7%. Interest rate is 1.5%, and you want to pay a down payment for 1.5 million baht. So, what is amount of money that you have to pay monthly in 5 years? First of all, you have to find out what is the total cost of the car. The car is cost 2.45 million baht. But the total the total price it means the cost plus the tax. What is the cost of this car? 2.45 million baht plus the tax. The tax is 7%. 7%, it means 7 over 100 times the amount of cost, 245. Then the total price or the net price of this car is 2,621,500 baht. And you decided to pay the down payment, right? The down payment, the money that you pay in the first period, and you decide to pay 1.5 million baht. So the net price of this car is the total price minus down payment. The total price is 2621,500 minus down payment 1,500,000 baht. So the net price for this car is 1,121,500 baht. Okay. This amount of money, this net price, is going to be the principal. And then you have to pay the interest rate 1.5% a year. And how much money that you have to pay in the future? So, from the future value formula, A is equal to P times 1 plus RT. Your P is 1121,500. 1 plus R. R is here. This is R. But you have to change the percentage here to be the decimal form. You get 0.015. This is your R. 0.015. And how many years? 5 years. Then, after you multiply this number, 1 plus 0.075. Okay, let's see how much money that you have to pay in 5 years. 112,1500 times 1.075. Okay, you have to pay 1,205,612.5 baht in the future. And then you want to know how much money that you have to pay each month for 5 years from this amount of money. So, the monthly payment can be found out from the future value divided by the number of months. The future value is 1205612.5. Number of months. How many months in a year? 12 months. How many years? 5 years. So, you have to divide this amount of money by 60. Then, you divide by 60. So, you have to pay 20,093.54 baht per month for 5 years. Okay. Sometimes you can pay in cash, but sometimes you need to pay by using the credit card. When you use the credit card, the bank will charge the interest when you don't pay off your full balance by the due date each month. Suppose you use 1,000 baht and you pay off only 800 baht. That means the outstanding balance is 200 baht. This 200 baht is used as a principal for calculate the interest in each month. But the method to calculate the interest in case of credit card, the bank will use the method which called average daily balance method. This method is use the outstanding balance each day as a principle to calculate the interest every day in the month. So the principle is called average daily balance, and R is the annual rate for that credit card. And each bank has the different annual rate. And T is the number of days in the billing period divided by 365. So let's see the example how they calculate your interest in case you didn't pay off your full balance. Just like this exercise, the interest on a 10,000 baht credit card bill that shows on 18% interest rate per year. Assume that you spend a payment of 500 baht on April the 1st, and that it takes 10 days for this payment to be received and recorded. So, from this information, that means you borrow the money from the bank in this amount, and then you pay off 500 baht. So, what is the outstanding balance for you? The outstanding balance or principal can be found in each day. So, suppose you borrow the money 10,000 in the first day, day 1. Okay, day 1 of the 1st of April. But you pay 500 baht on the day 1, but it's record on day 10. It's record on day 10. That means from day 1 to day 10, they think that you borrow the money every day, 10,000 baht every day for 10 days. So they will calculate 10 days times 1,000 baht. So you get 100,000 baht for the first 10 days, from day 1 to day 10 April. And day 11, it's already received your money 500 baht, right? 500 baht. So the balance is 9,500 baht. So they think that your principal for day 11 to day 30 is 9,500 baht for 20 days. And they add up this amount of money together. You get 290,000 baht for 30 days. And then they divide this amount of money by the number of days in that month. So you get this amount of money. This is going to be your principal P. And then after they get the P, they can find the interest from our normal formation. I is PRT. P is the average daily balance, this one. And interest rate, they charge you 18% annually. It means R is equal to 0.18, right? And number of day, the T here, this is P, this is R, and this T. T is the number of day on that month divided by 365 days. And after you calculate it, you get 143.01 baht. This is the money that you have to pay to the bank for the amount of money that you use. And the credit card do the same method for this every month until you pay it full balance. If you pay off all the money until that, you have to pay the interest. But this is how the bank charge your interest from you. But when you deposit the money to the bank, they didn't use the method the same as you use the credit card. They use the method to calculate the interest, which we call compounded interest. The compounded interest means the interest which is already add the interest to be the principal, just like the first year you have the principal 100 baht, and the next year the principal is not 100 baht, it's changed to be 150 because it already add the principal or already add the interest, and do the same to the next year. This is called the compounded interest. So I'm going to compare the difference between the simple interest and compounded interest for you. Again, suppose you deposit the money into the bank. You deposit this amount of money to the bank, and they pay you the interest, 8% interest for 3 years. It's going to be the principal, right? 8% interest rate. This is R, which is 0.08, and T is 3 years. So you put each value into the formula. A is P times 1 plus RT. So you will get that in the future, you will receive this amount of money for the simple interest. But for the compounded interest, they will calculate every year. For the first year, the principal is the same, and then for the first year, you get the final value, 10,800 baht. And this amount of money is going to be the principal for the next year. And after they calculate the interest in the second year, you get this amount of money, which is going to be the principal for the next year. And finally, after 3 years, you will get this amount of money. From the previous slide, show the money that you get from the simple interest around 1,000, so 12,400 baht, I think. So you're gonna see, if we use the compounded interest, you will get more money than the simple interest. How about the future value in case the compounded interest? For future value, you can find the future amount of money from this formula. A is the future value, P is the principal, and I here, small I here, is rate per period divided by the number of time that the interest is calculated per year. Just like if they say annually, it means that the interest will calculate only once a year. If they say semi-annually, so they have to calculate twice a year, and n is 2. Quarterly, that means quarter is mean 4, so 4 times a year, then n is 4. Monthly, there are 12 months, so they have to calculate 12 times, n is 12. Or daily, 360 times a year. So this is the keyword to use to count the n. The number of time interest is calculated per year. And what is the capital N here? N here is come from the number of time that interest is calculated per year, multiplied by the number of years. So let's see the example how to calculate the future value in case of compounded interest. Find the future value of this amount of money invested for 10 years at 3% interest compounded. So we start here. This one is the principal. Invest for 10 years. This is T. And the interest is 3%. This is R. They ask you for future value, which is A. Then, from the future value of the compounded interest, A is equal to P times 1 plus I to the power of N. P is 1 million baht. 1 plus I here, I is come from R over N. R is 0.03. N, you have to see how many times that the interest will be calculated. It say annually, it means only one time. That's 1. So your I is 0.03. And capital N here, it means the number of time to count the interest time T. There is only 1. How many years? 10 years. So N is 10 to the power of 10. Then you can use the calculator. One 1.03 to the power of 10. Then 1 million times 1.03 to the power of 10. This is the amount of money that you have to pay. Sorry, that you will get after 5 years. Okay. How about the interest rate will be calculated for semi-annually. Semi-annually mean n is equal to 2. Okay. As we know, the future value is equal to the present value times 1 plus I to the power of n. P is the same amount of money, 1 million baht. I is R over N to the power of NT, right? In this case, R is the same, T is the same, but N is changing. N is going to be number 2. N is 2. Sorry, N is 2. 0.03 are the same. N is 2. 2 times 10. So 1 plus 0.015 to the power of 20. From now on, you can use the calculator. $1 million times 1.015 to the power of 20. That's the number. That's the money that you will get after 10 years. And the money is not the same value when the times pass by. When there is an increase in the amount of money in the circulation, there is a fall in the money value, which is in turn cause a rise in prices. This is called inflation. For easy understanding, look at this picture. In year 1988, you have money $20. You can buy many stuff full in the cart, but when the time passed by, in year 2013, the same amount of money, but the value is not the same. The value is decreased. You can buy only few things in that year. This is called inflation. And for inflation, you can use the same procedure of compounded interest for calculating the inflation. Just like this exercise, Somchai is earning 300,000 baht per year. And would he like to know that what salary he could expect in 25 years if inflation continues at average rate of 5%? Firstly, Somchai get this money per year. This money is going to be the principal. And after that, he expects what would he get in 25. So 25 year is the time. If the inflation continues to 5%, 5% here is the rate. He want to know the salary in the future, right? So that means he want to know the future value, the salary he expect. salary he expects. This is the future value. Then, even this is the inflation, you can use the same as the compounded interest. So A is P times 1 plus I to the power of N. P is 300,000. 1 plus I. I is R over N to the power of NT. And you replace R by 0.05 N. How many times to count the interest? Because this is the inflation, then N is equal to 1. 1. How long? 25 years. So you can use the calculator. You will get 1.05 over to the power of 25. Okay, let's see. Okay, in the next 25 years, he will get 1,015,906.48 baht per year. This is his salary in the next 25. Okay, last exercise here. An insurance agent wishes to tell you a policy that will pay you this amount of money in 30 years. What is the value of this policy on today's baht? If we assume a 5% inflation rate. So they guarantee that they will pay you 5 million baht. This is the amount of money in the future. In 30 years, this is the time. And they assume that the inflation rate is 5% per year. R is 0.05. And this is the inflation rate, so the N is 1. What is the value of this policy on today? The value of money today is the principal. Okay, from our knowledge, the future value is equal to present value times 1 plus I over N. A is 5 million baht. P is the unknown that we want to know here. I is come from R to the power R over N. R is 0.05, N is 1. N is 1 times T. So, this amount of money you need to find P actually. So P is equal to 5 million baht divided by this money, this amount. So money that you have to pay 5 million divided by 1.05 to the power of 30. is the amount of money that you have to pay today to get 5 million baht in the future.